Welcome to day 2 of the 12 DIYs of Christmas. My name is Amanda of amandaarneill.com, and I teach lettering and art tutorials here on YouTube and also with full online courses on my website linked down below. And today we are going to be making a tea towel gift, which is the perfect gift for a teacher, as a stocking stuffer, or for that hard to buy for person. It could even be something that you wrap a bottle of wine in and call it done. You already have a perfect Christmas gift for someone. So let's dive into today's tutorial. But if you missed day 1, which was all about creating your own Bujo gift list, just click the link right up here and you can watch that DIY as well. There are 12 of these, so I don't want you to miss a single one. For today's tutorial, you are going to need a few different items, but once you have one of these made, it's easy to make a whole bunch. So keep that in mind. The initial time that we have to take to make the first one is not going to be necessary for follow-up ones. So if you buy a tea towel pack of 4, you can quickly make 4 gifts with 1 tutorial. You're going to need some plain colored dish towels. I have found some white flour sack ones. These are a great option because they really allow your metallic iron-on foil to pop. That's another thing that you're going to need. You're going to need some sort of cutter machine, so a Silhouette or a Cricut machine, and then your iPad. We're gonna start with the iPad today and move on down through all of the different steps of the tutorial. And like I said, once you have created your design and you've done your cut settings and all of those, it's super easy to do a whole set of tea towel gifts for all of the teachers, neighbors, loved ones in your life. So let's get started. Navigate into Procreate, and we are going to create a new document. Hit the plus up in the top corner, and you can choose screen size or square. Either one of those will work just perfectly. Choosing a square might be a little bit easier because we're going to do a design in a circle. So that will give you a sense of space for the circle. First, let's draw the circle on the screen. Choose a black color. Select one of your inking brushes, like the gel pen, that will give you good control over where you're drawing your line, and draw a nice big circle. Remember, it does not have to be perfect. If you hold your pencil there, it will create an ellipse. If you put one finger onto your screen, it will create a perfect circle. Once your perfect circle is there, you can drag from the top corner into it to fill it. And if it fills all the way, keep your pencil on the screen and just slide down your color drop threshold until just the shape is filled. Now up at the top, my circle wasn't completely perfect. If this happens to you, just go in and color it out a little bit. That will be a little glitch that no one will notice when the final design is done. So now on top of this circle, we are going to start to write our words. For this, let's do something like Home Sweet Home, so that it's something you can give as a Christmas gift, but not necessarily something that can only be put up at Christmas. To do that, you want to change to white for your color, and we are going to modify one of the inking brushes to make it perfect for doing some brush lettering. The one we're going to modify is the Jasinski ink. Slide it to the side until you see the duplicate option and tap on that. Now you want to tap just on your duplicate, so it'll either have a 1 or a 2 behind, depending on how many times you've duplicated it. And we're going to change just a few of the properties in here. So don't be overwhelmed by this whole brush studio. If you want to learn more about making your own brushes step by step and all of the functions of the brush studio, you want to check out the Ultimate Guide to Procreate 5, which is a full-length course taught by myself and Karen of iPad Lettering that goes step by step through all of this. But for right now, we're only going to make a few simple changes. You want to tap on the streamline in your stroke path, stroke properties, bring that up to around 72, 73, and then decrease the jitter to 0. One other simple change we're going to make is in the grain. Tap on that and you'll see that this brush is not perfectly opaque. It has a little bit of grain to it, so we're just going to change that. Tap Edit, and in here you want to choose Import, Source Library, and then just choose the blank option. That will give you a solid pen to use. And done. Now that we're done with these edits, click Done in the top corner and you can use your new brush. Now with the white, Add a new layer so that you're not going to be writing directly onto the circle, because I'm sure this is going to take a few times to get your perfect design. The first time I write something, I always like to think of it just as a sketch. It does not need to be perfect at all. So we're going to write Home Sweet Home. Write that to get a sense of how you might fit your words together, considering that your H actually has that ascender, and somehow you want to be able to make it look balanced without a large gap right around here. So after your first go, decrease the visibility of this layer and add a new layer to further edit your piece. For instance, this home up here seemed quite close to the top, and this one had a lot of space. So I'm going to shift that version of home down, and I'm also not doing the best lettering yet. This is more about the placement. And we might even want to use the same home twice. So you can always just duplicate that layer, shift home down so that they're balanced within the circle, and then use that space left between to write in sweet. And because sweet, if you do it in something like a print style, you can play around with it a bit. You can take those letters and fill them in to fill in the empty spaces. Now, this S to the W is looking a little bit awkward. The S is angled slightly differently than the other letters, so do watch out for things like that, where one letter looks like it's standing out from the rest of the design, and modify the angle or the size until the whole design sits together really naturally. Once you have a design that you do like, go in and merge your layers together, decrease your opacity, and go through and do your proper trace of your letters, really paying attention to getting perfect brush strokes. One thing that I always like to go through and do is just to smooth out any of these points that sometimes can happen on the iPad, just to make these curves look more natural. Also, you don't want any of your lines to be too small, because we are going to have to be picking this out of vinyl. So make sure that they're thick enough that your vinyl cut marks will still work. That means that you don't want any hairline lines. You actually want your upstrokes to have a little bit of thickness to them. So even if that means that you go through and you retrace those upstrokes to ensure that they are thick enough, then that's what you'll want to do, because everything for this project is all in your preparation. That will ensure that your final product looks amazing. Remember too that you can duplicate that word, so once you have it written once, take that layer, duplicate it, and shift it down. Of course, if you want them to look a little bit different, you can rewrite it separately. But if we're trying to just get this done, why not use all of the tricks at our disposal? And then on a new layer, write that final word in the middle. As you finish off your design, consider adding little elements where it looks like the letter's coming back into the circle, just to add a little bit more interest to your piece. Go through and turn off any layers underneath that you were using for tracing, and now we are going to take this to the Silhouette or Cricut machine, whatever you have, and cut this circle out. One thing you'll want to pay attention to, though, is how big your final dish towel is, because if you think of how someone hangs a dish towel, usually it's only the middle third that is shown, so you want to make sure that your circle fits within that middle third. So fold your towel like someone would have it hanging and measure that folded space there, and then I would say give yourself at least an inch on either side as, extra fold zone, and measure that area on the inside so that you know how big to make your design. For mine, which is a large size dish towel, it's about 5 inches across for the design. After you've measured yours, cut your design out of some HTV. For heat transfer material, I typically either use it's either Sizer or Sizer brand, which is linked down below. That's available pretty much at any craft store that has the cutting materials available. Or this one is one that I got, it's just gold in with some cardboard. It doesn't even really say a brand, but I got this on Amazon. I've linked it down below. This foil is really nice because it's quite thin, so you don't feel the design on the dish towel as it's being used. It just feels like part of the towel. Again, I've linked this one down below so that you can check it out. There are quite a few different color options available and some really, really nice metallics. That being said, it is thin, so it's a little bit more finicky with making sure that you don't cut through the plastic on the other side, but I would say it's well worth it. To export this to your computer, choose your Actions, Share, PNG, and send it off to either directly to your cutter or into your Silhouette Studio or your Cricut program and set it up in there to cut. If you're not sure how to do that, there is a little video that you can go to right here that will show you how you can image trace this in the Silhouette Studio and then cut it out on your cutter. You're going to need to make sure that you mirror image it and that you put your foil so it's facing face down onto your cutting mat. Once you've traced your design and you're about to cut it, there are two things to keep in mind. One is that you want to set your cut type for the correct type of vinyl that you're going to be using. So whether you are doing flocked heat transfer, glitter heat transfer, metallic heat transfer, or even smooth heat transfer, select the correct one from the list here. Make sure that you do send this as a mirror image, and you can do that when you send. And then it will give you the option to either choose send mirrored or send as is, and we want to send this mirrored. Cross your fingers, and let's start cutting. Now for the design, we want to keep the circle part, but get rid of the letters inside so that we're using the negative space. But if you were to take those letters off, it's going to peel all of this goodness that can still be reused. So instead of peeling just yet, just cut your page so that you can save the rest of that heat transfer to be used again. Weed out all of your letters and the exterior border of your piece so that you're left just with a circle and all your letters cut out. How cute is that? It's time to move on to the tea towel part now, actually putting your design on. So creating the design and getting all your cut settings right, tracing it, all of that, that's actually the part that takes the most time. So once you have your design done, you can set multiple cuts to print on one sheet and get a whole bunch of beautiful Christmas gifts done, crossed off your list in just one go. For this step, you are going to need, obviously, your weeded design, your dish towel, and an iron, and probably also a ruler. A ruler would be a good idea to make sure that this is perfect. Now, of course, you've already folded your towel into thirds, but if you want to make sure that you manage to get this design perfectly centered, fold it in half. Just create a little crease there with your fingers, and then you will have that center point so that you can, roughly center your circle on that. I designed my letters to be at a slight angle, and I always like doing that because then you don't have to worry about it being perfect. If it's a little bit more crooked or a little bit straighter, it's still gonna look totally fine. So we have our middle line, and if you want to make them all consistent, you can also measure your distance from the bottom. But if you're not too worried about that, if you're not going to be giving multiple circle sayings to the same person, then just put it on there where you feel that it looks good, probably about 2 inches up off the bottom. And once you have it placed where you want it, you'll notice that the plastic cover is still on the front. You keep that part there when you're ironing. You're gonna take your iron and press and hold for as long as the manufacturer's directions tell you to. So for this one, it's not all that long. And I actually like to keep it moving a little bit because you do end up with these minor imperfections, but honestly, you don't even notice that afterwards. Moving your iron seems to help minimize those. But for some other heat transfers, you actually have to keep your iron perfectly still and not let it move at all. Now, one other thing for some of the heat transfers is that you need to make sure that it's fully cool before you peel off the plastic. And if you're not sure, if you have to make sure that yours is fully cool before you peel, if in doubt, just wait a second and let the thing cool. Once it's cool, then you can start to peel your design plastic away and reveal your beautiful dish towel underneath. There we go. Your plastic can be recycled and you are left with a gorgeous, gorgeous gold, beautiful, personally designed dish towel. And this is the best type of gift to give. Not only is it a gift that you have made with your own two hands, right from that initial design to the final product, but it's something that someone would love to have in their home hanging up year-round. Something that they will definitely cherish. So now I'm off to make a few more of these. I hope that you are loving your finished product just as much as I am. This is only one of 12 days of DIYs, and some of them are super easy, but all of them are sure to impress. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a single one, and all 12 days will be linked down below this video as well. So make sure that you check back regularly so that you can create perfect handmade gifts for everyone on your list, including yourself.